Hi everyone, my name is Lauren Braille and this is my online introduction podcast. So a little information about me. I am a second grade teacher in the Ephrata Area School District. This will be my 5th year teaching. I am currently completing my STEM endorsement and this is my last class for that. I love to craft. I recently got a Cricut and I absolutely love doing all things crickety and cricketing. I spend time with my family as well, and over here is a picture of my family with my husband Luke and my dog Albus. And I also love to read. I am a big Harry Potter fan, which is why my dog's name is Albus. And we recently just bought our first home in Lidditz, so my dog now has a yard to run in, which is really exciting, but we're still in the process of unpacking and getting adjusted to our new home. The first question, I feel that I will have the most difficulty in the interpreting data stage just because of having issues making sure that the data I collect is based on the phenomenon that I'm actually researching rather than an outside factor. Mills kind of discussed this in the article about saying that sometimes in action research, outside factors like students not eating breakfast that morning could have affected, or different things as students in a bad mood. So those different phenomenon can affect the research that we're completing. So it's going to be tough, I feel like, interpreting the data and making sure that the factor that I'm researching is the one that I'm going to be collecting data on. Question number 2. Mills discussed the need for teachers to make action research a part of their daily teaching practices. The obstacles I find with this are definitely going to be time. Teachers already struggle with time. I know I am a big person. I like to plan all these wonderful things, and then time always kind of gets in the way. There's never enough time in the day with our students. So I feel like adding some action research in there might be a tricky part just to juggle with time. But I feel like the more that I would practice with it, I think the better I get at it. But definitely at the beginning, I feel like it's going to be very time consuming. Also, the next step that I thought would be finding help without overwhelming others. As teachers, we like to communicate with our peers and try to reach out and get some help with things, but it's always kind of overwhelming to other teachers when we're doing that. So we definitely have to be careful with how much we seek out help from our colleagues. And the last part I thought would be tricky was going into depth with the action research. Just as was stated in the reading, that before you go into your action research, you definitely want to go and collect research that's already been done. So that is definitely time consuming as well. And with action research, you really want to make sure you're able to go into depth. And with that time constraint, that can kind of be an issue. The last question, the story that resonated with me the most was the first story about Rebecca. I believe that it resonated with me more than the other story because the first point there, the Title I school, I teach at Highland Elementary in the Ephrata Area School District, and we are a Title I school. So I definitely saw some connecting points as I was reading through the story. The next part was the importance of listening to students. The quote that stuck out to me from this part was that even as seasoned teachers, we can make wrong assumptions about how a child is learning. So it's definitely really important to check in with your students, listen to them, because they do know how they're doing on things. And sometimes as teachers, we can try and go and make assumptions, but ultimately they can be wrong when we could have just listened to our students. And the last part, the power of working with others, was a really big point in this story because, as I mentioned before, it's so important to communicate with our colleagues and work with them. Lastly, my concerns about action research are definitely going to be selecting my topic, trying to decide what would be best for my students. They are the reason that I am a teacher, is for my students, so I definitely want to pick something that's going to benefit them. And also determining the results of my research and just making sure it's not an outlying factor that's causing it. It's actually what I'm doing and trying to figure out is what I am researching. Well, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to working with everybody this marking period.